Greetings and
Happy
salutations, Aaron.
Tuesday, everybody. It is 2/22/22. It's one of
On a
those
Tuesday.
days.
Yes.
Want to welcome you to this edition of Cannabis Radio Live. If you are watching this, please make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe. And of course, if you're over on YouTube, make sure you smash that bell notification thingy so that way you get notified every time that we go live. Of course, I'm joined today by my co-host Brasco on the radio. What's going on, Brasco?
Well, you take away the whole 2/22/22 thing from me. I was going to kind of do something with that because it's the one time to do it. The one
It
day
is
you
the
can
one
actually
time
say
to
it,
do it.
right?
It's kind of funny, right?
Doing
Uh,
well. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, folks, I want to thank you for tuning in and joining today. We're going to run through a litany of crazy news topics. There's a lot going on today. So, we're just going to dive right in. Brasco, where are we at?
So we've talked about California. We're talking about the cannabis market. And there's this story from NBC News. They're talking about how don't cut the taxes. Like keep the taxes where they are. Don't cut them down because it's going to hurt the youth, the low income youth they're talking about. So there's a child service provider they quoted here saying, "We've heard a lot about the impact the cannabis industry has, but had little to no impact of those who benefit from the taxes." So okay, so you're gonna do this whole idea of all right. So if certain communities are not getting the tax revenue, they're not getting the benefits from it. So you're gonna blame the cannabis industry. Let's just charge us more. Is that what we're gonna go with? Cannabis right now is taxed at $161 a pound, and a 15% excise tax as long as cultivation, manufacturing, processing, distribution, and retail. And the state gets $1 billion in taxes. Oh, but the child care people are like, oh, we don't see where the money's going. Like that's the problem.
So, look, I think we've seen some of this with respect to collected taxes and the big questions behind their usage. I remember when we were in Arizona and Dr. Sue Sicily was
Mhm.
looking to go get some of the funds that had accrued from taxes and what have you in the medical marijuana fund there in Arizona. And I got to tell you, unless you go and file a FOIA request, which is the Freedom of Information Act, so that you can get a look at where those monies go,
Yep.
you won't know. And I got to tell you, that money, at least in Arizona, uh, elected officials got paid. Elected
Of
officials.
course.
I mean, we're talking judges, both sides of the aisle, mind you. Uh,
Yeah.
their benefits package. Where did that come from? Came from medical marijuana taxes, right? So I got to tell you, I think those that are concerned about where those tax dollars are going and how they're being spent, valid, valid concern. I've seen what a single state does with it, and it's absolutely a frustrating thing if you're a public service looking for that kind of support. So I would encourage you, if you're watching this, make a request to the state, find out where those taxes are going, and if you don't like it, do something about it.
If you want to know what California's doing with the money, so in their fiscal budget, $400 million goes towards child care and prevention services to thousands of children in poverty, and about a quarter of a billion goes to Department of Social Services, and 81 million of that goes to youth prevention. And 21,000 low-income children benefit from child care service programs, but as many as 2.3 million can be eligible. Okay, yeah, we want to help the kids. We want to help the listen franchise, those that are that they need the help. But I think we're doing that. So what's the problem here? Don't blame the industry, blame the government. That's how I'm at.
Well, so again, it some of that allocation happens, but the departments get to allocate how they use it. That's
Yeah.
the key right there, right? So they don't the beneficiaries don't always benefit. And that's, I think, a reason to go dig deeper on that.
So in Florida, we've had there was always the talk about how much THC is allowed to be in certain products. And there's other states doing the same damn thing. They want to consider potency caps, whether of bud extracts or edibles.
That's just
And
retarded. It's retarded. I'm sorry. If caps were a thing, why are they selling Everclear on the shelves? Right? Like, I mean, come on. There's
Yeah.
no true apples to apples and because there's always that comparison between alcohol and cannabis. But the caps on THC limits is just a silly thing, right? Um, I mean, did they cite any reasons for this, George?
No, they talked about the fact there's just bills that are now pending. Illinois got one, Minnesota's already, so Mississippi's already started to install one. They've instated it now. And, Normals come out and talked about it. They said that, if it was passed in Illinois, it would significantly limit access to stronger forms, the most central impacts falling on those who rely on it for medicinal properties. Listen, they did want to do that there. Colorado, they put a cap that was been lowered. They want to do this. I don't know what they're trying to get out of this and what good it is, but there's nothing that supports, anything, any kind of research. First of all, we want to get research when it comes to showing the benefits, but then they want to make these rules without any research. So tell me about
I
that.
mean, look, I think if you were to apples to orange it with alcohol once again, uh, dumb it down like what they're suggesting
Yep.
with an alcohol cap, right? Which makes it what, like, water, and which, what do you got to do to get drunk? You got to buy more, which what makes more tax dollars. I mean, is that what the end goal is? I don't know. It just sounds silly. I don't think that you come to this subject in the face of public responsibility at all, because anybody who is a cannabis consumer on an ongoing basis, for the most part, they understand their usage, and you don't find people running around that I know of. I've never seen it. I've never walked into a dispensary and seen someone said, "Excuse me, could you get me the product with the least amount of THC in it?" Never, never, ever, ever. It's always, could you
Right.
show me what the strongest, the most potent strain is that you have in your shop today? That's always the question. Never the other way around. I
Now
think
there
it's
are
just kind
states
of
that want to
silly.
do the potency caps, but then New York wants to do a potency tax. So yeah, charge more for a higher amount of content. It's just
Potency
funny.
tax? Are you serious?
Yes. So it would be rather a potency cap imposing 0.5 cents or like 100 5/100ths of a cent per sale of 1 milligram in THC, and then it would be like the same thing for edibles and concentrates. Like, yeah, they want to nickel and dime you if you want better potent cannabis. Right.
Well,
I think that's
I
funny.
mean, New York's a bit on the, wonky side right now as it is. Well, when I was there in the beginning of December, I walked into a head shop and I bought weed in the head shop.
Yeah.
That
Uh-oh.
happened, right?
Yes.
That's not supposed to happen, but that
No,
happened.
no.
And it's just like they're selling it out of redone food trucks that are now weed trucks sitting on every
Mhm.
corner in Times Square. Even they've replaced some of the food carts, George. Where you go get the shawarma and all
Oh,
that. What
the chicken and rice. Yeah,
chicken and rice,
man.
right?
Oh
Right,
my
right
god.
next to the chicken and rice is a weed cart. that so
That's
so New
funny.
York is getting their groove on, but now they're trying to make more by taxing the potency. Wow, leave it
Yeah.
leave it to New York.
Oh, a producer talked about how New Orleans also had a food truck selling pre rolls on Canal Street when he was visiting most recently. How about that?
Oh, wow, there you go.
Just in time for Mardi Gras. There you go. Uh, so there was another story where opinion piece, former Senator Cory Gardner, who was one of the writers with Elizabeth Warren on the States Act, and Representative Dave Joyce, a current representative in Congress, they did put out saying a story in USA Today that got picked up that cannabis reform needs to happen. It's past time for federal cannabis reforms, and it's neither tenable nor the will of the American electorate. So good for them. They actually wanted to put something out there to try to get word to talk, and they put a pretty comprehensive story out there.
Which finally, you know what I mean? Like, again, I think we are at the point of tipping the scale, we just need one more little catalyst to watch the scale tip over, and I think we're close. I do.
I mean, the bills are all there. At what point are they going to take everything else aside and say, you know what, we need a win, and let's pull all the pandemic restrictions out and let's pass cannabis and let's
Well,
get
look,
to the
I
midterms,
think
right?
I think we talked about this 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think with the banking bill, being tucked into into the bill I'm talking about, the one that technology infrastructure bill.
Yep.
I can't think of the name of it. Had a funky name. That thing got pushed through the House, and right now they're right back where they were, teetering to get through the Senate. Now, in my opinion, that might be the one catalyst that we need to see full cannabis reform at the federal level, is to get the money right up front, right? Get the banking set. Once the banking is set, then we can go and tackle the rest of reform and get our initial laws on the books. Of course, there's going to be lawsuits and what have you, and state by state, that they're going to have their own laws and what have you. But I think like any new law, it gets on the books and then it starts to shake out over 12, 24, 36 months. But it just got to start someplace. And I think, my opinion, if they get banking fixed, then everything else will follow.
But they better get things together. If the government wants to get a little chunk of that tax revenue and not lose it to cryptocurrency or to blockchain and Bitcoin, which there are companies now aggressively getting into it because they're not waiting. They're not going
Yeah.
to wait much longer to get into this. They're going to just say, you know what? We can work ourselves out. We can build supply chains. I just talked to a guest on Blunt Business today. That's coming up in April. Building a supply chain within the blockchain to go ahead and get people taken care of when it comes to data, when it comes to resources, when it comes to buildings, all
I
of that.
like that. I like
Oh,
that. Well, I
great.
mean, look, in Arizona, the state itself, the state um, instituted a crypto that they can use, that cannabis businesses can use for transactions. Which again, that's a little baffling, for me, because for the most part, you see cannabis companies being wary of that for obvious reasons. The accusal at the federal level of washing money, and so it's a thing. Again, I think if they fix that banking, the catalyst that we need for federal reform, right there on its heels.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
A few other things. I'm just going to glom over this real quick, but Rolling Stone put a great story out there, Mary Jane Gibson, about the California cannabis crisis. They talked to a lot of growers out there and their personal issues going on with that. I just want to point people out to that and check it out. Very comprehensive.
By the
And
way,
go
just
ahead.
a quick hello to Dave Wisniewski in the chat room. What's going on, Dave?
There's a lot of people talked about this. And the one thing I want to bring up in news to wrap things up. So medical marijuana is here in Florida. We want adult use. And there's a new poll that came out from North Florida that says that 3 in 4 Florida voters support legalizing cannabis right here in
Yes.
Florida. Let's
Yes.
get that on the ballot, baby.
So
But now,
what's the problem, right?
there's
Why
the
aren't we on the
competing
ballot?
petitions, right? That's been the one thing we've talked about for a long time. We knew about that back when we were doing our own conference, the USCC. That there's been, there's 2 petitions that keep coming out, and they're both competing with each other on purpose.
Which we all know divides the vote,
Yep.
and that becomes challenging. Um, Look, I think if Florida can get its shit together, we obviously have the numbers to get it passed. Um, this particular issue boils down to monopoly money, if you will,
Yeah.
going against the will of the people, and so that kind of sucks. What up, Glass Donkey? Yo, true, almost 420. Well, it is.
One
It
hour.
is 420 wherever you are. I guess he must be what, in Jamaica, Puerto Rico. What up, Glass Donkey? What's going on? Happy 420 to you.
There's a recording from an old Frank Sinatra performance that says it's the cocktail hour. For me, it is right now.
It is the cocktail
It is
hour.
kind of like that, right? Oh my goodness.
That's funny.
Yeah, but shout out to Glass Donkey out there. There you go.
Exactly.
So I got to go to our spotlight, and I thought this was really fun. All right, there's a study out there on psychedelics that it can alter a person's core metaphysical beliefs for as long as 6 months after use. How about that? The high you get from a psychedelic can stretch out almost half a year.
Yes. Now, okay, so now we're in our core topic for the day. This is our big one.
Yes.
Okay, so this particular article was speaking, I believe, in reference to psilocybin, right?
Mhm.
DMT and LSD, correct?
Well, actually, psilocybin, ayahuasca, and DMT.
Oh, okay, not ayahuasca. Yes, DMT.
866 participants, by the way. Big study. Want to be a
That's
part of that?
That's a lot of people taking a trip without ever leaving, the house, what have you. Listen, so Brasco here on the radio has Brasco, you've never done a psychedelic. You've never done a
No.
drug one a day in your life,
No.
right? Okay, so I may have had a couple of psychedelic journeys in my time. I can tell you, DMT, psilocybin mushrooms,
Mhm.
um, that assertion of the difference in thought process behind the physicality of this world and what you would look at as potential idealism or this world is a construct of your mind, right? And when you leave a psychedelic journey, especially on psilocybin mushrooms, we mentioned Dr. Sue Sicily earlier. She is actually performing an approved psilocybin study right now. And she made the statement initially at the beginnings of their study. She told us, she said, her initial findings show that psilocybin mushrooms actually dwarf the benefit of cannabis when it comes to the treatment of treatment resistant PTSD, anxiety, depression, traumas like that.
Mhm.
And so if you go into a journey that you look at the study of 866 participants and they come out the other side and they have remnants of idealism or a completely new view on the world around them, their connectedness, their feelings of unity, the feelings of love and acceptance is something that for a new person trying psychedelics, when in this test, they tested them at the beginning, they tested them a couple of weeks in, a couple of months in, and then 6 months after their initial journey. And somebody who had never tried psychedelics still had those very same feelings 6 months from their first dose. And I listened. When was it? It was a couple days ago. Brandy and I, we were watching something with Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan was interviewing Michael Pollan. And
Mhm.
Michael Pollan is one I'd like to get to come on with us, Brasco, um, because Michael Pollan has written some tremendous books around psychedelia. And I can wholeheartedly tell you the way they describe the benefit of psilocybin was, the ruts that we get into day in, day out in our life are kind of like when you're sledding down a hill of fresh snow. And when you get down to the bottom of the hill and you go back up, you get on that sled and you go right back down, atypically where you went down the first time because you kind of cut a groove in there, right? Well, if you
Mhm.
continue to cut that groove, right, that's what you have, and that's kind of like this habit, the things in our mind that are consistent about our behavior, about our perceptions, uh, and so a psychedelic is basically laying a fresh blanket of snow that allows you to now have a brand new experience going down that hill. Does that make sense?
But yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Well, it's just that what I'm amazed is the lingering that it takes, and what it actually can. It's as if you get this full kind of just this continuous, almost like a trance-like feel, and that actually helps you to change and look at give you yourself a whole breakthrough, another overview of what life is and how things work out. Like I just in 6 months, I mean that's a long time to just let this continued state of lucidness, this whole moment of zen. It just like it just kind of zones you out, and then you feel
No, 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 no. It's
oh
not a
oh
zone
okay.
you out. Definitely not a zone you out. It is a make you happy, right?
No, but it puts you
It
in a zone. I'm not saying in a bad thing. I'm just
yeah,
saying it just
put
puts you in like a wavelength.
it puts you in a positive mental outlook
Yeah.
because the things that would normally those grooves again weigh you down and you get stuck in your rut. Listen, it's easy to get into a rut, but it's hard to get out, right? And so getting out of that rut is what that psychedelic experience was for 866 people. And the new folks that had experienced that had so much joy, had so much happiness, had such a
You said such a positive, but I think what it comes down to is when I look at what they're doing with us here and metaphysical beliefs, just is fascinating. Where you could change scientifically your thoughts on life, society, politics, and philosophy. That it could give you a full change of that. I think that's just fascinating. And when they put it together, it just you don't even need a vacation or a retreat. Like it's for anybody who's like high stress in a high, entrepreneurial environment. They're like a CEO of a company. Imagine if they have this kind of a treatment and just bring you back to like you're there. Like it's just you feel it. The stress is gone. Whatever kind of things that come across stress related, you're taking it away. It's just completely removed.
yeah, it's a horse of a different color. Okay, look, I think we've got a couple of minutes left here.
Yep.
There was something that I thought about maybe doing. Let me ping our producer. We got a minute for this? Just curious. We've got a little something that we had sitting in the back that I thought was kind of fun that we could potentially do. No, not today. All right, running out of time. So I think we'll do this. We'll do this next time. We've and my connection seems to be a little crappy, so I'll work on that for next time,
Well, when
guys.
we're talking
Forget.
about psychedelics, you look like you were going like a Max Headroom psychedelic kind of experience. Like
I was already right tripping out, and it's kind of fun.
it was going more and more as we go along. Can I just go ahead and make one mention about a couple of programs that I did last
Please,
week?
absolutely.
Grassroots marketing. We got into the, nobody ever talks about the luxury side of things, but we've talked to a couple of people on this, and there were a couple of good ones that I thought, that really stood out for me. One is called Para, so like paraphernalia, and it's female founded, BIPOC owned e-commerce shop. They do premium, affordable paraphernalia. It's in New York City.
Hmm,
The lady Mariam Saeed, she's got a lot of background when it comes to designer work from the likes of Bloomingdale's and Saks and all this kind of thing. Like it's just amazing.
nice.
And the products, like if Brandy looks, she's gonna be like, I need this in my pocketbook right now. And then there's another company, Sackville and Company. They do contemporary cannabis accessories, and they're both Brooklyn based. And again, like you want to look at grinders, you want to look at pens, you want to look at all these different things they got on there. It just looks like something you look at on like Worth Avenue or something like that, or Bal Harbor or whatever it is. Like it's really nice and chic. It looks like
I'm
something.
not
I mean, like I look at
understanding
the,
where
the
Glass
grinders
Donkey's
here.
going in all this, but
Right. It was like something on like Estee Lauder, like something even better than Sephora. It's just got a nice chic look. It's just like
Yeah.
it looks good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bougie, they even call it. So yeah.
Bougie. I like
Yeah.
it.
It's
I
good
like
stuff.
it. I like it.
So
And what else?
grassroots marketing, check it out.
As
That's what
grassroots
you wanted
marketing.
to point out right there. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. All right. Well, folks, I think that's going to bring it to a bottom of this show. We're so happy that you joined us again. If you enjoy Cannabis Radio Live, make sure you go over to the website, check it out, cannabisradio.com. We've got all kinds of shows. We've been producing episodes for the last 6-7 years. We've got literally thousands of episodes of whatever it is that would crank your engine about cannabis. So make sure you go check it out. Of course, make sure you like and follow us and share this out with your friends and put it on your calendar. Come back, join us every Tuesday right here at 3:00 Eastern. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that bell notification thingy in the corner, and that way you'll get notified every time we go live right here. So once again, thanks for joining us on behalf of myself and Brasco on the radio. See you next week.